Welcome into our overtime edition here on SportsSource.tv. Appreciate you being with us. This segment of, or this online segment brought to you, as always, by Jinx Logos. You see the number there, 755-7767. That's how you get in touch with Jimmy Andrews in terms of merchandise that features your company's logo. That can be screen printing. That can be sewed on, embroidered. They do tremendous work, whether it's dressing out your sales team, or giving out umbrellas, or giving out golf balls, whatever you want to do in terms of company handouts or company wearables. Call Jinx Logo and Jinx and Jimmy Andrews. He does a tremendous job. Don't call him Jinx, though. He doesn't like that. All right. Quick question, pretty easy in today's overtime segment. Let's take Josh Dobbs out of the mix. Who is the most important Vol going into 2015? Jimmy, I'll start with you.
I'm going to say Cam Sutton, and I'm going to say because if you look at what happened last year with Tennessee, Amari Cooper had a career game, Pharaoh Cooper had a career game. It seemed like an opposing receiver had a career game. And they're going to look at Sutton and play him some at the nickel position, which means he'll move around and try to guard the other team's best receiver. Pharaoh Cooper's back. Shepard at Oklahoma is a great receiver. Hatcher at Arkansas is pretty good. They're going to face some good receivers. And then you add to the fact that Sutton is also going to be your punt returner. I'm going to go Cam Sutton.
Okay, Cam Sutton.
Well, I think there's several really good choices. I'm going to go with Kurt Magid. I think he is the leader of your defense. I think so much after all he's been through, you know, coming back after the injury, staying, and what he brings to the table. I think if Kurt Magid has a big year, well, you're going to like the way your football season's going.
And last week on our all VFL show, Daniel Hood and Jacob Gillum, who both had a chance to, they know Kurt Magid. Both of them said, look, you've got other leaders. Cam Sutton's a leader. Josh Dobbs a leader. The leader is Kurt Magid, by far and away. Kurt Magid is your guy. So, yeah, I kind of, both those are good answers, but because of his role as team leader, that's a guy you don't want going down to injury anytime soon. Or, you know, he may be most important on my list. That's a good answer. Bob.
Well, that was exactly the opposite of my answer. Because I was going to go with Barnett on the other defensive end.
Yeah.
And my reasoning was simple. He is such a disruptive force, he was last year as a freshman, that it made the rest of your defense better. He came in, and I think it sort of caught everybody by surprise. He was as good as he is. And your answer, though, is probably the better answer is Magid. But I was just looking at one guy who is so disruptive on defense that he can make the rest of your defense better.
All right, we got a pass rusher. We've got team leader. We've got shutdown corner, what Tennessee hopes, or shut down wherever they put him. Anybody on offense? Who's your next most important?
I would go with Kamara. And simply
more so than Hurd.
And I would go with Hurd.
Okay, but I think here's, from this perspective, you've got a 5-star recruit come in. I think you know what you got a lot in Jalen Hurd. And I think with the spark that Kamara can bring, and also with what Butch Jones said recently, he said the way he's playing, he's the voice of the offense. Did you guys hear that quote? He's the voice of the offense. So
the rest of them have strep throat.
Well, well, then that tells me something big could be in store for him.
I would lump both those. I would push both running backs together, because I wish, you know, if you're a Tennessee fan, you need 3 or 4 guys, and you're trying to find a third. But you got those 2, and if either one of them goes down, I think it's bad news for the other guy, because you're gonna have to carry a lot more. Gonna have to carry it a lot more. I'm not speaking well in this segment. Jimmy, who do you like on offense?
I'm kind of with you. I can't separate the running backs. I'm having trouble separating the receivers also. But if I had to pick one, I might go pick Howard. He's a guy that's led the team in receiving each of the last 2 years. Be a pretty good trivia question. I'm not sure how many people knew that. He also is effective with your reverses and those type of things. So they get him involved in the offense a little bit, speed sweeps. He's not the most talented wide receiver, in my opinion, but he's been the most productive the last 2 years.
And kind of under the radar this preseason, too. You're not hearing. I'll tell you
what.
what.
Last year as well. If you remember, his return was questionable, and we were all sitting here saying, well, it's not that important. Not that important that he gets back, because you've got all this talent. And then, as Jimmy said in the show, they started falling like dominoes, and suddenly Pig Howard is pretty important, and he does a good job for you.
Well, and then you got Matt Crowder.
See, that's where I was going to go.
You know, because now I would put the running backs ahead of Matt Crowder, but last year when he was out, it had such an impact on the offensive line that that I think he's got to be right up there.
And they've tried to put a little pressure on him at center so far. I'm not sure what that tells us about his development from last year to this year. But Matt Crowder, I think, again, you look at what happened in the Missouri game and the Vanderbilt game, that offense went back to looking very, very average. Didn't look much different than when Justin Worley was in there. Center, obviously, he's the guy in charge of the offensive line, and if the offensive line is the most important, if that's the most glaring red flag you've got, then even though I wouldn't put Matt Crowder as the best player on the team,
But
I think he may be the most important guy on the offense other than Josh Dobbs.
and that's when we hadn't even said Josh Dobbs yet, have we?
Because
Or that-
well, it's because we're saying because we said
Because he
aside
said-
from Josh Dobbs.
Okay. That's what I thought.
We'll end it on that. We'll end it on that. Hey, next
That's a sign of getting old because I would have done that too. Well, what about Josh Dobbs?
next week on WATE Channel 6, 11 a.m., the Sports Source 600th episode. Guys, I can't believe we've done 600 of these things.
Who's the career leader?
That'd be me. That'd be me. I haven't missed a show. Knock on wood. Watch me get sick next week. And Chuck will let you host next week if I get sick. Oh, wait. Now I'm going to.
No.
Now I'm going to get a glass of arsenic somewhere. All right. We'll see you next week on the Sports Source.